that was really, I'm tearing up. All morning, I've been tearing up. Because when I was asked to be here and come talk to you, I had to remember the journey where I was, where you are. And walking down this aisle has been a 40-year trek. And it has been a journey that when I left here, I was on my diploma, it says MFA in theater and related fields. I didn't know what that meant until I started thinking about my journey. So I want to thank you, Dean Schwartz, and the esteemed faculty and guests. And I want to cheer y'all 2012 graduates. I am touched and honored, and my heart is full today to receive this award. It is a privilege to be recognized as part of this UCLA community and this creative department. When I talk to writers and directors and actors, and we're talking about story, and we're talking about creating character, I say it is a responsibility because you're telling a story of a human being, and that's a responsibility. And one of the three primal things that we do as human beings, and when you're creating your stories, writing your stories, filming your stories, is to be seen, to be nurtured, and to feel safe. I love fairy tales. I love story. And every story begins with once upon a time. So, once upon a time in the land of California, in a place called Yosemite, a young girl whose skin color was the color of the earth was seen dancing in wild abandon. And she was twirling, and she was leaping, and she was shouting, just like you guys were today. And she was seen by two women of African, Indian, and a little Scottish descent. Hey! One woman turned to the other and said, "Lee, when did you start giving Shirley dance classes?" And my mother said, "I didn't." And she said, "Well, she's dancing like she's possessed, like she's a wild woman, and I can't hear the music." And my mother turned to her and she said, "Doka, it doesn't matter if you hear the music. What's important is that she hears the music." So when I look out and I see myself in you, I see future myth makers, future storytellers, okay? And I remember when I got the letter, you said that when you came on this campus, I forgot your name. Yes, and you said you wanted to come here? Oh, I did. When I walked across this campus, a friend brought me, and I knew that I wanted to be here. Now, you have to understand the climate of when I was here back in the day. We had just come through 3 assassinations, the civil rights movement. This country was divided. There was a war, and we were wounded. But this department, the theater arts department, the film and television department, provided me a safe place in which to explore the multifaceted sides of who I was. When I was here, it was a time of change and experimentation, and we were encouraged. The film and television and the theater people, we all got together because we were breaking form. We were experimenting with new ways to tell our story. And I didn't know then, people were saying, well, Shirley, I was producing, I was directing, I was dramaturging, I was helping writers, and I didn't know that I was laying the foundation for my entire career. I just like playing with my friends. You know, I just love playing with my friends. And so when I got accepted to this department, I did another dance. I did the happy dance. I did the dance of joy. I did the dance of celebration because I was seen. I was nurtured. And I felt safe. And I will be remiss if I do not, and those of you who will work with me, and those people who have worked with me, the writers, the directors, the actors, I always say, I give praise and thanks to the creative spirit that dwells within each and every one of you. I give praise and thanks to the ancestral spirit, those who came before and those who are with us now. And so I would be remiss because this department was home. And I want to acknowledge the ancestors, those creative faculty members who were my guides, who were my mentors, who are no longer here. There was my acting teacher, Ed K. Martin, who didn't settle for mediocrity, who allowed a place for me to drop down in my deeper voice, unafraid, go past the fear. He said, fulfill the moment. You're not going to go crazy because you have an exit, another line, or someone's going to yell cut. There was Eddie Hearn, who was one of the architects of this department. Eddie taught me the business. He said, it's called show business, Shirley Joe. He said, but 90% of this is business, and 10% is show. So, this is your craft. Learn the business and be healthy creators. And then there was Mel Helstein, master puppeteer and shadow man, where he expanded and broadened my imagination, and whose work I learned from him and the shadow play I still use in my projects. There was Doc Ballard, who taught me that light heals, color affects the emotional life. There was Mady Norman, who taught the African American theater class, and she grounded me in my cultural, artistic self and identity. And there was my beloved Dr. Beverly Robinson, my partner in crime, who later on took Mady Norman's class over. But she was the keeper of the truth. When I would do a project, I would ask her to come here to center me in the truth, the historical truth, the emotional truth, the artistic truth of what the story was about. These were my mentors, and they live now, today. I carry them in my creative DNA today, as you will these wonderful people sitting up here on this stage. There is a tribe, the Ubuntu tribe in Africa, and there is a tradition. When a child is born, the mother creates a song especially for that child, and then teaches it to the tribe. And they come in circle and sing that child's song. When that child goes off to school, the tribe then comes back into circle and sings that child's song. And when that child gets married, dies, the tribe comes together and sings that child's song. And if that child breaks the law, they don't get punished. The tribe puts that person in the center of the circle and sings that child's song in remembrance. So today, I look up on you and I see the way the configuration of this place. We are in circle. We are a part of this creative tribe in UCLA, a part of the film, television, and theater department. We are the tribe, and you today, we put you in the collective. You are our child, and we surround you and hold the space for you to step out in your greatness, to step out and hear your music. So dance, dance, dance. Okay, raise your hands up. And dance your dance. And hear the music of your divine destiny. Rock on, 2012 graduates, rock on, and thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley Jo, for those wonderful remarks. I love your passion, and you're really quite amazing. Let's hear it again for Shirley Jo Finney. Thank you. Our next distinguished alumni honoree received her BA from UCLA in 1969 and her MFA in '73. Penelope Spheris is a legendary, groundbreaking director, and like Shirley Jo, broke down the barriers for women when it was completely unheard of in the early 1970s. I can safely say this because I was there firsthand, making the same journey as Penelope, but as a fledgling producer. Penelope probably won't remember this, but she was my TA in 1971. It's true, for my History of American Film undergrad class when I was a senior here at UCLA. Let me add that Penelope was as captivating then as she is today. Penelope probably doesn't know this either, but it was her student film that I saw at Royce Hall in 1968 as a sophomore that made me want to become a filmmaker. Her film represented the extraordinary original voices and cutting-edge creativity that were, and I might add, continue to be, the hallmark of our film and theater school. Penelope's film was a haunting, edgy, breathtaking, completely original work of art about the life and times of her extraordinary family. Her film completely captivated me about the power of film and great storytelling and its ability to move and engage audiences in fresh new ways, to make bold statements through visual language, and to make a difference. I had never seen a film like that or a family like hers before, and to this day I can remember her striking film and her story perfectly. Besides her profound artistic influence on me and so many other men and women in the industry of ours and for following generations, Penelope is widely considered one of the great rock and roll documentarians of our time. Her Decline of Western Civilization trilogy is considered a masterwork of the genre. And in a way, her films define the genre and have never quite been equaled. Penelope has also enjoyed enormous commercial success as a director, writer, and producer, having directed many movies, including Wayne's World, Suburbia, The Beverly Hillbillies, and The Little Rascals, to name but a few of her many feature film credits. She also wrote for the hit TV show Roseanne for several years and was there at the start of Saturday Night Live, creating the famous comedy shorts with Albert Brooks, a format that went on to become a staple of the show. Penelope continues to be very busy developing, writing, producing, and directing, and just finished a film for Lifetime called Five as part of a series of films directed not only by Penelope, but by Jennifer Aniston, Alicia Keys, Demi Moore, and Patty Jenkins. Penelope truly represents the best of a TFT and UCLA education. Hers is a fierce, independent voice that has always been a hallmark of our school and our alumni. And that means whether someone has gone on to successfully work in Hollywood or on the indie scene, Penelope has artfully traversed both with originality, great style, and great intelligence. She is a keen observer of human nature and those who often live rebelliously on the margins. And for this and so much more, I would call Penelope a wonderful humanistic storyteller at heart. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television, our faculty, our staff, and our students, it is my greatest honor and pleasure to present our 2012 Distinguished Alumni for Film Honor to Penelope Spheris for her outstanding contributions to the art and practice of film and television, and for her continued excellence in all that she does as a proud TFT and UCLA alum. Penelope, come on up here. Okay.
Oh, well, wow, that's great. I didn't know that I was inspiring to you way back then. That's so awesome. Well, first of all, let me say congratulations to all of you. I know you must be so proud and your families must be so proud of you. It's an incredible honor that you have done this, and I hope you give yourselves a good pat on the back today. When I was here in school, I thought it was 30 years, but Shirley Joe reminds me it's been 40. And back then, there really, women, they weren't really women directors. And so I never really thought I could be a director. I started out as an editor. And assistant editor, actually. And I was working on these industrial films, and yeah, I swear, I never, ever in a million years thought I could be a director. Especially when I was working in that job, the first one was because the editor that I was working for was really mean, and he was like the Nazi editor that made me do everything perfectly, and we had to go show a film one time, and I had it in a box, right? And we were in the elevator, and he made me so nervous. When the elevator went up, I barfed on the film. And that was, I knew I was going to get fired. That's a true story. I knew I was going to get fired, and I was really scared the next day. But when I got there, a friend of mine called me and said, how would you like, he said, I saw a film, the one that Terry's talking about. He goes, I saw your film at the San Francisco Film Festival. It was called I Don't Know. And he said, he worked over at CBS Records. Peter Feldman was his name. He goes, can you do a music video for us over at CBS Records? And I thought, well, what in the world is a music video? He said, we just figured out we didn't have to send the whole band around the world. We could just make a little piece of film and send that. So I started this film company called Rock and Reel, which was the first company that did music videos, and had, a whole business going on before everybody else got into it, and way before MTV. And it was, I don't know, I learned, what I did was I took all the tools that I learned here at UCLA. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I was the first woman to work in the tech office here at UCLA. Yeah, how about that? And you know why they never had any women before me? Somebody just fell off their chair. You know why they didn't have any women before me was because they didn't think we could pick up the equipment. Okay, so it's true, huh? Yeah. So anyway, where was I? So anyway, I started making these music videos, and I somehow got hooked up with these people that were working with, they were friends. I answered an ad over here in Melnitz. It said, we need a transcriber, and I typed really fast, you know. So they were doing a movie about Jimi Hendrix. And so I transcribed all this stuff, and it was these two guys that was working with Lorne Michaels, and I was sitting with Lorne Michaels and Gary Weiss and John Head one day, and they said, you know what? Lorne goes, I'd like to, you know, maybe start a show from New York, like on Saturday night, and maybe it could even be live, you know? And he goes, Penelope, would you come and help me with it? And I said, no, I'm going to hang here in LA. I got a kid and everything. So he goes, well, you can work out here. I said, fine. So he wanted Albert Brooks to work on the show, to do shorts, because he goes, this is like the hot new comedian. But he goes, he doesn't really understand how to make movies. And I go, well, I do, because I went to UCLA and I learned. And so I was lucky enough to get hooked up with Albert, who didn't know anything about making movies, and he knew everything about Hollywood, though, and I knew nothing about Hollywood. So Albert introduced me to all these awesome people, and I was like, oh man, I was really scared that I knew Jim Brooks and Rob Reiner and all those guys back then. But one day they said, why don't you go and go in for this gig to produce Private Benjamin that Goldie Hawn was going to be in, and it was right when the whole punk rock thing was going on. And I went, you know, I think I better not. I think I better just go do a documentary on the punk rock scene. And they were making so much fun of me. But it was that step sideways that really made the difference in my life. That was the Decline of Western Civilization was the most written about movie of that entire year, which was 1980. Yeah, and I mean, to this day, it's the work that when I go to my grave, that's what I want to be remembered for, is having done that documentary. And it was such a difficult decision to step away